Hello, my name is Emma Mahony and I'm the course leader on the BA in Visual Culture. I'm going to talk through our programme and explain what visual culture is and what you might expect to study on this course. The BA in Visual Culture offers a unique opportunity to study the history, theory and analysis of art, design, architecture, fashion and screen culture, all in the context of a leading art college and alongside Ireland's future artists, designers and makers. Our visual culture programme offers both a full-time and a part-time route. Full-time students are typically on campus for 2.5 days a week, coupled with independent study. You'll learn through a mixture of lectures, seminars, workshops, one-to-one tutorials and live projects. And we typically have small group sizes, circa 15 students on average in any one year group. Our visual culture teaching team includes some of Ireland's leading writers and thinkers on art, design and digital media. You can find their research profiles on the NCAD website. One of the subjects you'll study as a student on the BA in Visual Culture is art history, namely the forms of elite culture found in museums and art galleries around the world. Art history is very committed to the idea of the visionary or the artistic genius, who can imagine or see the world differently. And as the 20th century progresses, this visionary genius often seeks to shock by acting transgressively. In Marcel Duchamp's ready-mades, which are pictured here, the dominant values of what constitutes a work of art come under attack. At one and the same time, Duchamp challenges the perceived role of the artist as a skilled maker of one-off works of genius, and that a work of art should be aesthetically beautiful. Another job of the art historian is to analyse the field of art history for its biases and exclusions, and where possible, to redress them. Many of you are probably studying Leaving Certificate Art. I wonder if any of you have questioned why there were so few women artists and artists of colour in the Leaving Cert curriculum, or indeed in the art museums and galleries you visited. For the most part, art history is dominated by white, male and Western artists. In the 1980s, a collective of US female artists calling themselves the Guerrilla Girls started highlighting these gender and racial inequalities in the art museum through a campaign of bill posters like the one illustrated here, which asks, do women have to be naked to get into the Met Museum? Less than 5% of the artists in the museum art sections are women, but 85% of the nudes are female. Throughout art history, artists have also sought to challenge and rewrite the colonial and the white supremative narratives that shape museological display. Black American artist Fred Wilson augmented the collection displays at the Maryland Historical Society to reveal alternative narratives of the city's dark history of slavery. One of his displays, pictured here, juxtaposed ornate silver pitchers, flagons and chalices with a pair of iron slave shackles. By displaying these artifacts side by side, and they all adhere to the title, which is they're made of metal in this particular period, Wilson creates this sense of unease. He draws a link between two kinds of metal on display, that the production of one, the ornate chalices, was made possible by the subjugation enforced by the other. The field of visual culture also encompasses design history. Its territory is broad, from a study of decoration and ornament, such as that found on the Celtic Romanesque Honan Chapel in County Cork, which was designed by members of the Celtic Revival and the arts and craft movement, using elements of the Art Nouveau style. And the chapel included the work of craftspeople like the stained glass artist Harry Clark, who coincidentally taught at NCAD and after whom the main lecture theatre and the visual culture building is named. It also stretches to architecture. And this is a modernist house designed by the Irish architect and designer Eileen Gray. It's called E1027 and situated in the south of France and was built between 1926 and 1929. Eileen Gray, as we can see in the picture to the right, also turned her attention to every detail of the interior, including designing much of the furniture. Design historians also have the luxury of being able to analyse the present and ask how the futuristic and utopian visions of modernism in the 20th century have played out in the 21st. What we're looking at here is Plan Voisin, which was designed by the architect Le Corbusier in 1929, roughly commensurate with the time of the house we've just looked at by Eileen Gray. And at the time, this was a highly provocative plan for the rebuilding of a large part of the centre of Paris. Le Corbusier proposed to bulldoze the narrow streets, monuments and houses, and in their place to erect these giant 60-storey cruciform towers surrounded in this park-like green space. His proposal was never seriously considered, but it did provoke discussion concerning how to deal with overcrowded working class neighbourhoods, and it inspired many subsequent social housing developments across the world, not least Ballymun, which was finished in 1965, or started in 1965 and finished in 1969. So Ballymun was made of precast factory-made concrete panels that were rapidly erected. And in line with Le Corbusier's vision, they were generously proportioned and incorporated modern features such as spacious windows and underfloor heating. However, the amenities necessary to sustain these communities, such as shops, youth centres, playgrounds and sport fields, were very slow to follow, and Ballymun quite quickly became a magnet for social problems, telling us that these utopian visions of modernism didn't necessarily play out as they should have done today. And as you all know, Ballymun has now been rebuilt. So we've seen how visual culture incorporates art history and design history, but it also includes advertising and mass media, television and cinema studies, and screen culture. Let's consider the idea that images don't mirror the world, that they are the world. Nicholas Murzov tells us that 100 hours of YouTube videos are uploaded every minute. He also tells us that images are not stable or fixed. They are in a constant process of motion as they're copied and pasted, mediated and remediated. Take, for example, this painting of Wheatfield with Crows by Vincent van Gogh. To see the original, we'd have to travel to the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam and physically stand in front of it. So what we're looking at here is a representation of it downloaded from the web, and a photo of some random bloke standing in front of it, probably taken by a friend of his, which has made its way onto the web and somehow into this PowerPoint. Notably, both of these images could be described as poor images, namely low-resolution images circulated on web and social media platforms. But they're the images that we are most familiar with today, those that are copied, pasted, cropped, tweaked, all the time degrading until they become ghosts of their original image. But this is our currency, and this is the currency of visual culture. Images are also the currency of advertising, another field that visual culture examines. By using images and juxtaposing them with text, advertising can project the desires of consumers onto commodities so that they become signs and symbols of desire. But the message circulated through advertising can also be interrupted and subverted. Détournement is a subversive process whereby existing media artifacts or symbols, or logos in these cases, are hijacked, and their meaning is then altered before they return to circulate as social tools capable of disrupting the normal flow of capital and replacing it with these alternative anti-capitalist narratives about McDonald's and Coca-Cola respectively. And the goal of détournement is to jolt people into the realization that there is another reality beyond the veneer of consumer capitalism. So that's the subjects we'll cover. Visual culture also allows you to choose an optional year of study between the second and final year. And during this year, students can choose from a range of study or placement options located either in NCAD or in cultural organisations and community projects on its doorstep. And final year students on the BA undertake an accredited work placement in a cultural institution of their choosing. NCAD has a number of excellent partners in Dublin and the surrounding counties, including art museums, artist-run spaces, heritage sites, archives and libraries, auction houses, and advertising agencies. So thank you for listening, and I'd like to invite you to contact me if you have any questions relating to the BA in Visual Culture, and you can reach me at the web address here, mahony@staff.ncad.ie. My web address is on the NCAD website under Visual Culture. I look forward to hearing from you and hopefully meeting you as future students.